Hi and welcome Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. Monza came and went, and once again we were absolutely treated to an atmospheric race, which had plenty to talk about. I really enjoyed the race, joined by Tristan Pocock. Were you enjoyed by that? My name's Roger Byron too, by the way, and you're about to hear on the opening question the importance of me doing that. But Tristan, how did you enjoy the race?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Excellent.
It was a good second week back, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
it certainly was. I'll tell you what, races with atmosphere
Yep.
make a big difference, and there were moments where you could really see the atmosphere at Monza, and maybe not the biggest one ever, but the Ferraris put on a show which sort of helped everything out, and it was a good little race weekend. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're going to talk all about those goodies and all our usual excellent pieces throughout the show, dud of the day, and fantasy, and all those other wonderful bits and pieces.
F1.5 is back.
Thank goodness.
You'll love it.
I am one of the biggest fans of it getting around.
I know you are. Wait, I think the 2 weeks off has actually helped us massively, to be quite honest.
Oh, you reckon?
You'll be surprised. I've just finished it.
Okay.
You'll be surprised at where people are and what they're doing.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway.
But before we do get underway, we have got an opening question, and it comes from Paul, and it is an audio question, my favourites.
Hey.
So
I do love the audios.
Oh, it makes a big difference.
I think
once
it does
again,
too.
send them in, guys. Send them in. On Messenger, please, is the best way to do it. Because, that allows me to play it quite easily. I've got a couple on the Instas. Can't find it. Can't make it work. It's a funny one.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's an interesting one. So anyway, over to Paul.
Right.
G'day, Tristan and Roger. Paul here again. Roger, I'm just going to start. It's so hard to remember your name sometimes because I'm the only one on the podcast who ever says your name. So Tristan, instead of saying g'day, mate, go, hey, Roger, good to be with you. Anyway, just try that. It helps.
There you go. I like it.
On to the question. We all hear about the bagging out of Sky's coverage, and I kind of get it. For mine, F1 is really when I'm teaching someone how I watch it. Like showing mum, look, this is what I'm looking for on the screen. It's usually like split times between 7th and 8th. Like maybe I've got Piastri in my team and I just want to see if he's closing the gap on Tsunoda, whoever. And really I think so much entertainment lies in, reading these little tenths of seconds that are being gained or lost. But we live in a data-rich world now where, that could be so much more. So I'm just wondering, if you could spruce up some of the elements on the screen that we all watch, the main screen, what would it be? I was thinking maybe, like the bottom three, the three drivers that are losing the most time, maybe they could be highlighted in like red. The three drivers that are gaining the most time over a 5-lap average, for example, maybe they could be highlighted in a different colour. That's a pretty bad suggestion, but be happy to hear yours. Thanks, guys.
I love the suggestion. And
I don't mind it.
It's funny how Paul brings up when watching with new viewers of Formula One, because it's one of my favourite things to do. However, it can be a frustrating task because you're going back and you're trying to think, right, I actually do need to really break it down and we need to talk about all the different bits and pieces and why is this a really important phase of the race and all those sorts of things. Watching a Formula One race just without any of that insider knowledge, I feel like you're only getting half the story. And so you don't want to overload people, new viewers to Formula One. You don't want to overload them, but you also want to give them like everything that it's got to give. And I always find it quite tricky.
Did Paul mention that he was that he would watch with his mum?
Yeah.
Did you pick that up?
Yeah, no, he discusses with mum quite often.
Which is fine. I couldn't think of anything worse than having a conversation about sport with my mum.
It's interesting because my parents have been away for a very long trip and they listen to the show. And
do they?
And they give me lots of feedback on the show, but most of it's positive. But I feel like through listening to that, my mum's starting to get right into it. My dad's always been into it.
Yes,
and
he has.
And he is always sending me
I think he dropped a comment this week, actually.
He's always
on
sending
our
me
socials,
his
which
thoughts.
is good.
Yep. But no, it's an interesting one. But I know your mum too, and I think that would be an interesting experience listening with your lovely mum.
Interesting experience is the way to go. Anyway, that's fine.
I like the colour idea. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But I don't want just the people gaining the three people gaining the most. I want everyone. So down the list, there's no reason why they can't be not necessarily brightly highlighted in green, but just a bit of a vague green for those who are gaining on the drivers ahead of them. Because when I watch, I've got a timing screen with me, and I don't watch live, but I can set my timing screen up so that it's ready to go.
Yep.
It's going to start the timing when the race starts.
Yep.
And so I'm watching timings as well, and I'm watching, and once again, I'm watching Piastri, and I'm watching Ricciardo when he's in there, and because they're not generally the ones that are being shown quite as much.
Yep.
So that life would be so much easier because you can only watch so many drivers.
Yep.
It would be wonderful to see anyone who's gaining on the driver in front of them over that lap.
Yep.
They might flash green and then stay slightly green, like a pale green.
Yep.
And that's just their timing part of their screen. Like their number would be fine. And anyone who's losing space or losing time, absolutely, you could make that red. But I don't know that you need that if you've got the green for someone gaining.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You probably don't need the red.
Yeah, it's self-explanatory, isn't it?
But I think that's a really easy and really, really useful graphic to have on there. And if someone's only doing it once, then you're only going to notice it once, and you go, no, they've sort of dropped off again.
Yeah. But
no, I think it's a really fantastic idea. So no, I'm down with that. And it's probably got to be a significant catch. Can't be just by a tenth or two. It needs to be like a 3/10 or more over a lap or something like that. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think probably two, maybe three actually. I'd love to revive the old KERS. Remember the KERS graphic that used to come up? So your kinetic energy recovery system, where you'd know how much you'd have left. Yeah. Because I think Monza would have been a perfect place for that too. Watching Sainz and Max over the first 15 to 16 laps, knowing where exactly Sainz was deploying his energy and his battery. So how was he defending?
Great suggestion.
Was he defending out of the corners? Was he defending down the main straight, the back straight, coming out of Curva Grande? Was he out of the Lesbos? I just think that'd be cool to see. And then over the lap, how much has he got left?
Terrific.
I'd love to see something like that
return
suggestion. Because we used to have that. So I'd love to see that return. I think that'd be cool. I'd love to see over qualifying, so the mini sectors. So we often see that post qualifying where we'll have a head to head and it shows that graphic on the side of the mini sector, often on the socials, where they are. We saw it live in Australia last year, I think it was, when the Mclaren garage, where we saw the mini sector. You loved it. You absolutely beside yourself because you've never seen it before.
I've got the F1 timing on the app, and you get the mini sectors on the app, so it is wonderful to watch.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see, you've got just probably even a chasing. So you've got someone, say Max has done his first one, you got Sainz who is following after that, and then you just watch the mini sectors. How's he going? I think that would lend itself to a qualifying format though, of a top 10 shootout.
Absolutely.
That's what you want. You go, you have your runner, how's your mini sectors going, rather than 1, 2, 3.
Remember, a few years ago now, I think we were watching qualifying at Watsy's parents' place.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, they decided to show the mini sectors that first race and never showed it ever again.
No, and it was super.
It was fantastic. So, I like it.
And then the last one is probably one that I want to remove, and it's a real bugbear of mine, because I feel like sometimes we can over-graphic F1 with way too much. So the nose cone, you often see it on the Mercedes, the nose cone camera that looks directly at the road, you see the left side of the front wing.
Yep.
Naturally, your eye is drawn to right at the end of the nose cone, right in the middle of the screen. But when they throw in the kilometres, the curve that they're in the corner that's coming up, I don't want to watch that. I want to just watch the front wing and the road, and that's all I want to watch. I want to have that experience as if I'm just sitting at the front of the car.
Yep.
And I feel like that's graphic overload. So I'd love to take that graphic away, if anything.
It doesn't add anything to that shot.
No, it frustrates me because I want to try and look around it.
It's funny you mention it, and we're getting serious right at the start of the show, and I like it though.
Oh, that's good. Sets the tone.
My kids are starting to be a little bit more interested.
Cool.
And so they've started to get into things like football.
Cool.
I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old and started to get into football, and they'll ask me about the soccer when I'm watching Liverpool and all those sorts of things.
Yep.
And they've started to get into the Formula One. And the question's always, is Max winning? And then it's always yes. Yep. And they're all both like, oh. And then they want to know how Ricciardo's doing. And then they want to know how Oscar Piastri's doing.
See, that's excellent.
And that's the questions I want them asking.
I love that.
And their favourite, because they generally don't I get up watch at about 4:30.
Yep.
And so generally when my kids get up, we're hitting about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yep.
The champagne's usually flowing.
Yep.
But they'll generally get up. They'll sometimes get up a bit earlier.
Yep.
But my kids saw the graphic on the Halo.
Yeah.
For the first time
that's
this
annoying.
week. And, well, you say it's annoying.
Yeah.
The first thing they say is, oh, cool, look at that.
No, I hate it. I find it annoying.
It's interesting. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. But that started the conversation. Yeah. And they said, that guy's going 200 or that guy's going 300.
Yeah.
And then we had to have a conversation that, on the roads we go about 100 and they're going 3 times that fast. And I don't think that they sort of got that. But then, what's that bit mean? What's that bit mean? And so it generated a real interest.
Yeah, that's fair.
And when we are, we don't want to be, it doesn't feel like it's our job to want to bring in more Formula One watchers.
No.
But I tell you what, for a raw new winner
Yep.
and a raw new watcher of Formula One,
Yep.
you want to be bringing these sorts of things in because it does add that interest. And I remember as a kid thinking, it's pretty cool seeing where their braking points are and how fast they're going at certain points. I very rarely look at the speed.
No, and I guess we know that, don't we? Because we never had a graphic that told us. It's just
well, you
just knew that they were going.
Or you'd be
300.
told. You'd be told.
Yeah.
Or you'd see on their steering wheel.
That's right. Or I'd have Dad tell me, he's like, it's going 300. You're like, oh, cool, that's really cool. I can't wait for H to get to that sort of point.
Yeah, it's a really interesting part where
really
they're starting to show that interest. And so
the interest level that we have at home is shouting the colours of the car.
Yes.
Which is great. I love that. And then occasionally we'll just hear,
yes.
Yes,
I like that. I think that's
great.
good.
I love that. It's so good.
Yep.
That's what 2-year-olds do.
And you can get them excited about a place like
Monza. Oh, yeah.
Because the crowd's excited. I mean, if you're trying to get them excited about somewhere like France, it's pretty. There's lots of colouring in on the track.
Imagine being excited by watching it.
But
imagine getting up being excited and be like, Sochi this weekend.
But my kids were saying, look at all the people there. And I said, this is the best podium in the business, kids.
That is.
And then I probably overdid it. And I'm going, oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. And I was like, yeah, but look at them. And look at the Tifosi. And it was all happening. But then they're like, oh, look at the red smoke. And then there was that interest. So it was a really interesting,
and
bit of a turning
You're
point.
very anti-flares. I wonder how they feel about flares.
I want to tell you one thing.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with flares.
Yep.
At the Monza podium.
But what about... See, I know you hate them at Zandvoort, though.
I hate them at Zandvoort.
I love them at Zandvoort.
When someone's trying to race in the race. But at the end, go for it. Party time.
Flares at the end, good, because I know
party
that's real...
time. My kids also, they brought the big flags across the crowd.
Yep.
My kids are also like, what if you're standing under it? You won't be able to see.
That's a good point.
And I'm like, I'm fuming thinking about that.
That's it. Imagine a flare under it while you're under it.
Yeah,
that would be
fire.
your worst nightmare.
But anyway, so no, it was really good. I love Monza and I love all the atmosphere that it brings. It never fails. And right from the top of the show, Ferrari brought a show for us to remember.
It's the only weekend where Ferrari is front of mind.
Yeah,
regardless of what's going on.
They didn't get the job done, and I don't think they were in any possibility of getting that job done.
No.
But I tell you what, they had a fair crack, and I liked it. They upgraded engines, they ran higher engine modes,
Yep.
They upgraded gearboxes, they brought everything they possibly could,
Yep.
And they took it to Red Bull, and is this the closest anyone's gotten to pushing them for the year? It's among it. I don't know whether it's the absolute best. We've seen a couple of races earlier on where there was a few overtakes a bit later on in the race.
Did it feel like a win? Did it feel a little bit like... Because I kind of felt like it did.
Yep, and the fact that they were battling each other even though it nearly went pear-shaped, we can talk about that a little bit later on.
And we were third and fourth, too.
The fact that they were battling each other, I thought, you know what, this is the Ferrari that we want to see week in, week out. Just all passion, going for it, not letting the race sort of just dwindle away and settling for positions. Those two were going for it, and I loved it. Give me a race ranking.
Whoa, great question. 8.5.
Whoa, that is high.
Yeah. It really, we really doubled down on last week. We really did. I'm not a Ferrari fan, but I was really backing them in this week. I really, really was.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to see it.
Yep.
Next week, I could 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
Yeah, so I'm a 7.5. I mean, there was plenty of interest points, but we still got the Red Bull dominance and whatnot. But there was more to it. There was more to it than that. Yeah,
I think so too.
Yep.
So anyway,
And I'll give Sky credit for that one.
Well,
Yeah, because and the broadcaster, I guess. I mean, it wasn't just Sky. It was it wasn't just a focus on different things. I thought they sort of nailed where to focus this weekend a little bit better than what they do some other times.
Yep.
Thinking about who has the pace.
Who has the pace?
It's an interesting question now. Obviously, Red Bull.
Yep.
We've seen what Ferrari can do.
Yes.
It is a unique track. Yep. It's not like if this is going to correlate somewhere else.
Yep.
And we know Ferrari threw everything at it. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop completely back.
Sure.
Come Singapore, because the engines are all ruined and all sorts of things like that. They had a fair crack this weekend.
Yep.
But we did see what their absolute optimum was at this unique circuit.
Yep.
We saw Mercedes have a really nice, solid weekend.
Yep.
And we saw McLaren maybe not shine as much, but then we also had the Alonso effect come in again.
Yep.
Who has the pace behind Red Bull at the moment?
All right. I'm going to break it down a little bit different way this week for you.
I like it. Good.
Well, I thought about this. All right. So I'm going to give you the next. I'm going to give you the next 4 weekends.
Go on.
I'm going to answer your question in 4 weekends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to go to Singapore, and Red Bull have the pace. Red Bull has the pace everywhere.
Let's just assume Red Bull has the pace. I want to know about everyone else.
All right, so they have the clear pace Red Bull at Singapore. All right, that's fine. We're going to head off to Japan.
Yep.
All right. And when we go to Japan, I think Ferrari are going to have the pace at Japan. Again.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
I really, really do. I really do. Then we're going to head off to Qatar.
Suzuka?
Qatar.
Oh.
Yep. Japan is Suzuka.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to Qatar after Japan.
Oh.
Yep.
Sorry. After Japan.
So breaking it down for you.
Sorry.
So Singapore.
Singapore. Where's Japan?
Singapore. Japan is
after Singapore.
After Singapore.
Yeah. So who's got the pace there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Ferrari have got the pace in Japan.
Oh, sorry. So
Yep.
Singapore.
Breaking it down.
Sorry,
Singapore. Red Bull have got the pace.
Yeah, but who's after Red Bull?
This is after that. That one. I couldn't tell you. This is why I'm going breaking it down for you. I'm doing it weekend by weekend.
Tell me, right.
I can't tell you definitively across a race weekend. So we're going to go to Singapore and
remove
Red Bull.
Oh,
well, I can't. They just do. I couldn't tell you after Singapore. Japan, we're going to go. Ferrari are going to have the pace at Japan.
Okay.
Then we're going to go to Qatar.
Yeah, that's the wrong answer, but
anyway. We're going to go Qatar, and
Yep.
Aston are going to have the pace at Qatar.
Right.
And then we're going to go to the United States, and McLaren are going to have the pace at the United States.
Right.
And the way that I've broken that down is because it's track specific.
Yes.
I've started to realise that we are track specific
100%.
to answer your question with that.
Yep.
So the high speed at Japan is going to suit Ferrari, and it's going to suit Ferrari because of obviously 130R. When we go to Singapore, it's going to be a little bit twistier. It's going to be hotter.
In which world have you seen Ferrari be really good aerodynamically? Because 130R is all about aero.
Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, not really.
I'm going off this
It
weekend.
It was low downforce in straight lines.
Qatar's a little bit of everything, so I'm going to go with the Astons for that because they're sort of good everywhere with what they're doing. And then we're going to go to United States, and that's going to be McLaren's absolute hunting ground. Because it's slow speed, it's high speed, it's a mix of both. And that's where McLaren sort of sits there.
Okay.
So, really, I haven't really answered your question at all, have I?
But you've broken it down and tried to
I've
make
broken
it
it
sound
down.
really
Trying to
smart.
make it a little interesting for you, because the answer's Max. The answer's Max.
Speaking of Max.
No one but Max has made 10 in a row.
10 in a row.
10 in a row. When does it stop?
It could very well stop at Singapore.
Massive call.
There could be some overheating at Look, in terms of where is the next possibility for it to stop?
Yep.
Singapore will be one, and Mexico with the other spot.
Why Mexico?
Because of the possibility of something different happening because of the high altitude. Yeah. So the overheating or the high altitude is causing some dramas. Singapore's in a similar vein. It could be an overheating issue, something like that. It's a hard track to drive, but I'm clutching at straws because it's probably not going to stop. But evidence would suggest it's going to stop at some point. And Singapore or Mexico would be my sort of suggestions as to places that it could happen.
Okay.
What about you?
Next year.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah, at Singapore or Japan.
Yeah, probably at Singapore next year in 2024. Yeah. There is nothing.
No, there's no
to
signs
suggest that this is gonna. So if we're at 10 now, right? Which is incredible. An incredible feat to hit 10 in a row. It really, really
15
is.
for the team.
It's almost 50% of your season. Like, we're 24 this year. It's borderline on 50% of the season that you turn up and you win. And it's just, it really shouldn't be underplayed. So if we go, Singapore's going to be 11, Japan 12, Qatar, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so 18. It'll be 18 by year's end.
Could be.
And that's ridiculous.
Could be. Yeah.
And you know what? If he hits that, and nothing suggests to me that he won't, they'll stand the test of time. 18 in a row, for someone to dominate 18 in a row, and just an individual person.
And this is coming off dominant eras. It's not like we haven't seen anything like this before. We have seen lots of this before.
Of course we have.
But he has managed to keep it going for the absolute longest time. Yep. And he's managed to just do it in such a clinical way. It's the like we used to hear Lewis talk about, oh, that was a hard one, man. That was a hard one.
Yep.
And sometimes we get little signs of that from Max, but quite often it's just a clinical, it's a procedure. Yep. Red Bull and him just sing together, and it just works out really nicely for them. For me, if we're going to see it, we're going to see it because there's a little mistake. And we have seen him make a few little mistakes in things like practice and qualifying. Yep. So there might be a little mistake at somewhere like a Singapore where the wall is a little bit too close and there's that little mistake. Yep. Reliability, there's no evidence to suggest that Red Bull's going to have a reliability issue. However, that also suggests that they're about due.
I can't even remember a pre-race weekend where we've been informed that he's changed a gearbox or he's changed an engine or anything like that. I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know if they have. Isn't it a crazy stat that I didn't really realise until it was sort of brought to my attention through
He actually copped a penalty early in the year for a gearbox change, if you remember, and he just drove his way through it.
I don't remember, which is probably where he's at with that. It's actually Rosberg during the Mercedes era that has the 7 in a row.
Yeah.
Did you realise that? I didn't realise that.
No, I didn't realise.
It wasn't until I sort of looked at it. So it's Schumacher from 2000 2001 with 6, Rosberg 15-16 with 7, Schumacher again with 7 in 04, Ascari from 52 to 53 with 7, Seb had his 9 in 13, and it's Max at the moment 10 asterisks because,
What were your thoughts on... Did you see Lewis Hamilton's comments in the pre-race?
No.
So Lewis has put up this argument willingly.
Yep.
In an interview, he offered it up, wasn't really led into it.
Yep.
That Lewis has always had tougher teammates.
Oh, yeah.
And Max has had the easier teammates. Thoughts on that?
It's not up to a driver to pick and choose your teammate, like in any way, shape and form. I think a comment like that is ridiculous because, like Alonso in 07, like he wasn't Lewis's teammate. Lewis was his teammate. Like I look at it the other way around when I think of that too. Same when he went to Mercedes. In the early years of Mercedes, Rosberg wasn't Lewis's teammate. He was Rosberg's teammate because both of them,
Rosberg was already there.
Rosberg was already there. Fernando had just come off a 2-time world champion. It was his rookie year. So look, I think comments like that are just ridiculous. I find it so difficult to take anything seriously in terms of record, frequent consistency of wins, championships or title, anything that comes out of anyone's mouth from Mercedes that is negative in any way, I find it really difficult to even want to listen to because they just spent the last 3/4 of a decade dominating, and then to stand there and say, oh yeah, but you haven't had the hardest teammates. Like, you just came off 7 years of total and utter...
There was something really ungratifying about it.
I hate it.
I
don't want to hear it.
It was a little bit of the, I'm not going to say something nice about him.
Yeah, no.
And look, there is parts of it where he's got a point, but there's also parts of it where, well, you know what, Lewis, you had the best car for 7 years.
That's exactly right.
There was a 7-year period where you had the best car,
and you weren't half a second a lap quicker or a quarter of a second. You were over 3 seconds a lap faster. You could have started 5 laps down and you were guaranteed to win. And the only person you had to beat was your teammate.
Yeah, which he's in that same boat at the moment. But just if you don't want people to look back on that time in the same manner, then celebrate what Max is doing.
That's exactly right.
And so he spent his whole time trying to say, oh, I've had it so tough.
Yep.
Shut up, Lewis.
Yeah.
You haven't. You've been in the best car and you've driven really well and we've loved it.
Yep.
And now celebrate somebody else who's in that moment.
Some humbleness from people in and around Mercedes needs to really be at the forefront.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree more.
You need to stop and breathe and know you're not winning.
Yep.
And that's fine because, I tell you what, I listen to, and I really encourage anyone to listen to it, the High Performance Podcast. Fernando Alonso is the most recent episode. It is the most in-depth and different interview
sounds great.
that I have ever listened to.
I think we talked about this last week. I watch college football things on Netflix because I love just watching how those high performance environments operate, and that sounds right up my alley.
The questions, I'll show you when we finish it. It is phenomenally good. You know, I'm always super critical of the amateurish questions that the media ask of drivers.
Yep.
This is beyond that to next level.
Fantastic.
Anyway, one of the comments that came out of that was the interviewer asked Fernando about his ability to rebound and keep pushing forward. And he asked about how many races he had entered versus how many that he had won. And when he gave that response, the immediate rebuttal to that question was, so you've lost 90% of the races that you've entered. And I really thought about that for such a long time, because if you think you're someone like Kevin Magnussen, for example, you are in a sport and 100% of matches, inadvertent commas, you have lost.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that in another sport? Can you imagine being a soccer club and turning up at the absolute highest level and knowing that every single weekend, regardless of how long you play for, whether it be a decade or not, you won't win? It's a
unique sport,
isn't it? It's just anyway. It really hit me, and I thought, wow, these guys compete to.
It also goes to show that interviewer has no idea about Formula One. I mean,
correct.
It's a high performance environment.
Yes.
And it's a high performance question.
Yep.
And it's an interesting question. Yep. And it's worth the question.
Yep.
But it doesn't replicate what Formula One's about.
No. Yeah. It highlighted to me also like that, just how important those wins are.
Yeah.
That when you win many, the value of that. Like, look at how many world champions that we've had in the last 10 years.
I feel like, I feel like you and I have become better at celebrating
I think
new
so
race winners as well.
So too.
We've really enjoyed it.
Love it.
And we haven't seen one for a little while now, but when we were in a little run of seeing quite a few of them, and it was a joyous moment.
It was the best thing in the world.
And that brings it up. Let's go to Sergio Perez. Speaking of people who lose quite often, was it a better weekend from Sergio? Didn't nail qualifying.
Not really.
But we know that's not his jam in the qualifying. Like, it's not where his strongest point is. He's a racer. He got through a tough pack.
Yep.
Well, sorry, he got through a tough couple of cars.
Yep.
And ended up in second position comfortably.
All right, so practice 1 third.
Doesn't matter.
No,
practice doesn't matter.
I still think practice is important for setting the time. Practice 1 third, practice 2 third.
No, doesn't matter.
Practice 3, where was he? Practice 3 was, nowhere. 10th, practice 3. Had a crash in P2, right? Qualifying.
And then P2 was his best Friday ever.
Yeah,
for the year.
I don't understand that.
Interesting comment.
I mean, look at the time with qualifying. Like, he was still a long way off Max. Like, a 21.9.
Does it matter?
Does
it matter when he comes second
in
a race?
It does. It really does.
For me, it felt like a positive weekend for him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't qualify further than fourth away.
No.
So it wasn't too far away from the lead.
Yeah.
Max doesn't necessarily need the rear gunner. Well,
no,
he doesn't need the rear gunner, and he hasn't had one. So that part doesn't really matter. So he's coming home in second. Could someone else have come home in second in a more clinical manner? Absolutely.
Yes.
But I felt like this was more of a positive weekend for him, where he got the job done. It was fairly clean. He wasn't that far off. Like, honestly, I couldn't care less about the times in the practice sessions.
I think
when we don't know what they're doing.
No.
Like, particularly second drivers, sometimes they're doing all sorts of different testing for them. It was a bit of a changed up weekend also, where we saw once again the qualifying session where we're using the different types of tyres through the different sessions of qualifying. So they're doing some work on that. It didn't bother me one bit, that part. And I felt like it was just a little bit more controlled. It was a second position. It was a comfortable second. I didn't mind it, to be honest. I thought he had a better weekend.
Yeah, I thought he had a better weekend, but I mean, like, it's not. Yeah, no.
Running off the road didn't help him in practice.
No, but again, it's just the straight line speed in the DRS. I think the track aided it too.
Yep.
He worked for it 50%. The other half, he was probably going to get it done. And I mean, I look at things like quali times with what he's done too. So he did a 20.6 for quali, right? You could argue a 20.7. So 20.688, and then if you look at that, George did that at 20.671. Charles was still 0.2 faster than him. Alex was like 0.08 behind him in the Williams. So that's concerning when he was nearly pipped by the Williams. Oscar and Lewis and even Lando were only, 0.1 and 0.2 behind him too. Fernando wasn't that far off him. Fernando was probably the furthest distance, which is about 2 to 3 tenths, but he was in 10th position. And then you got the likes of Yuki doing a 1:21.5.
So he wasn't far off being in a bad position.
He wasn't far off, and that's the thing that's concerning me. Like a slip up, you look at
his
Q2.
His issue is if he gets too far back, he can't make it through.
No.
And so he's able to strike from 4th or 5th.
Yep.
But anywhere further back, and it becomes quite tricky for him. So yeah, it was an interesting one. I thought it was better, but I'm with you. There is still concerns.
And you compare it to the likes of the Rosberg and Lewis in the Merc.
Yeah.
Right? Like if Lewis wasn't winning, Nico was.
Yes.
You look at Lewis and Valtteri. Probably except for the latter couple of years for Valtteri, which then saw him exit the team, which was fair enough. If you look at the very, very early on
Bottas
races,
didn't need to go other than the fact that a young Russell was
that's
knocking
exactly
down the
right.
door.
But at the same time, in those early years as a partnership, if Lewis wasn't winning, Valtteri was. And there was competition around him there too. Same with look at Mark and Seb.
Yep.
If Seb didn't win, Mark won.
Yep.
It's and that's sort of the thing. If Max doesn't win, like if you look at this weekend as an outlier, if Max doesn't win, well maybe Charles wins, maybe Sainz wins.
Yeah.
George was thereabouts too.
Yep.
So Sergio is not the guaranteed to step in and take that. And again, that's why I think that's the thing that's gonna unsettle him at Red Bull, because I've been saying it all year, but 5th and 6th qualifying is not. It's not what they're there for. The RB19 is a freak of machinery. It really, really is, and
Yep, one of them is making hay while the sun's shining,
but
the other one isn't.
It should be a plug and play sort of system for anyone, but for one, it's not.
Let's talk to Carlos Sainz. He
Okay.
nailed qualifying, got it on pole, did exactly what everyone wanted to see him do. Home track in terms of for Ferrari, not for him, but home track for Ferrari, and he put on the show that he needed to put on.
He did.
He's made some mistakes in the last sort of season.
Yep.
It was a nice result for him, wasn't it?
It was a good result. It was nice. I think Ferrari, I said early on, they threw everything at this.
Yep.
You could tell they turned it with Monza. If we're not going to do well throughout the season, in our backyard, we need to do well.
Yep.
So that was sort of, after practice 2, you could look at that and go, okay, they've obviously got a package that is very well suited. And it makes sense. The pressure to be a Ferrari driver, to be a Ferrari team principal when you come to Monza with a Tifosi, like it's there. You got, like, it doesn't matter next week when we go to Singapore if they're 8th or 9th. It really doesn't. But if you're 8th or 9th at Monza, you'd be lucky to leave the circuit alive, to be quite honest.
Did you enjoy the battle from the Ferrari, within?
I did.
At Ferrari?
I really, really did. Those last few laps, the last 10 to 11 laps were the best of the weekend.
It
really was.
It was everything that they couldn't afford to be doing.
Yep.
But it was everything that made Ferrari brilliant. Like
Absolutely.
I said at the top of the program, this is the Ferrari we want to see week in, week out. Passion and fighting for every last scrap. Horner made the comment that it was like he was defending for his life, and I really hated that comment from Christian Horner, because it was like he doesn't have the right to defend Red Bull. It was pathetic him trying to defend. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's exactly what we want to see all these drivers doing.
Absolutely.
And putting them in those really tricky situations, and he did a fantastic job of defending that. And yes, Leclerc nearly ruined it for everybody, and nearly ruined racing for Formula One for everybody in that huge lockup.
What would have happened if he had hit him? And can you imagine the ramifications?
I don't want to, because it gives me a headache.
Man.
But the fact that they raced for it, they made it all happen. I think after the big lockup, then they were told, right, this is done. But it was wonderful to see. I really, really enjoyed seeing that battle. I really enjoyed seeing him defend against the Red Bulls as best he could. It looked like he defended harder against Perez than what he did Max. But it could just be that Max is just that much quicker, so it didn't sort of show as much. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought Leclerc had a pretty decent weekend as well.
Yep.
But it was big for Sainz to be the first one home on the podium for Ferrari. He needed that result.
Absolutely.
Leclerc he hasn't signed on, has he? There were reports that he had, and it doesn't seem like he has actually signed on.
Yeah.
But there's always rumours about Sainz being the one, so it was a big result for Sainz, and I really enjoyed it.
I don't know, it's something like, I thought the result was great. I still think he's going to Audi. I mentioned that last week too. But yeah, it was good. I think not even a result for Sainz. I think I look at it as more a Ferrari result than a Sainz result. I really, really do. So yeah, I think it was good.
Russell and Hamilton in the Mercedes. really solid.
I think George definitely had the measure this weekend.
Yeah,
it was George weekend.
which had been sort of turned back to Lewis the
Yeah.
last few
Yeah,
weeks,
it's been
probably
a while.
longer.
Yeah, it's been a while
I
between
think.
drinks.
Well, yeah, not that it's been smashed, but it just felt like George had the upper hand early in the season.
Yep.
Lewis has sort of taken that back, and then, yeah, I agree. I thought George had the upper hand this time round, and they looked a bit more solid.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks settled.
Yep.
A lot of porpoising this weekend, if you hadn't noticed. A lot of low-running vehicles and a lot of bouncing, and I noticed that with both the Ferraris and the Mercedes in particular
Yeah,
too.
but possibly aided because of the bumpy track.
Maybe.
There's a theory that sometimes if you get a bumpy track on high speeds, it's more of that washing through. It's not just smoothing out as well as they like it to.
It looks like that they're actually building a better base for the Mercedes too. That's probably what I look at there, that they're not sort of looking to find speed across the rest of the season.
It feels
they're
like
trying
this is a building block
to
for next year.
settle it and find a better base to begin
Yep.
with, because obviously the start of the year was quite difficult
Yep.
too. So, yeah.
We talked up Albon last week. He had a fantastic race. He dropped back late in the race last week into an 8th. Probably deserved more. This time round, 7th. This man, this team is just getting stronger and stronger.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing to see.
Driver of the season?
No, that's actually Max because of what he's doing.
Oh.
But
Outside of Max?
he's well and truly up there. Yeah. I think we're seeing a really fine performance, and I'm liking hearing his name being linked with. I don't think there's any serious links in being linked with teams at the moment, but I like that he's now back into the equation. Yeah. It's funny how Red Bull, they've got this beautiful reputation of bringing drivers through.
Yep.
And giving drivers opportunities.
Yep.
But now we're seeing a couple of those drivers go away from the team and have some really strong success that have actually been previously discarded by the team.
Do you think that results like this with Alex, Ocon's another one that comes to mind too, Valtteri as well, with what he said on his exit of Mercedes as well. Do you think that these types of performances force the bigger teams to rethink the way that they function in terms of the high pressure environment for drivers? Because obviously you've got the likes, like let's Red Bull in case in point, where you've got Max will flourish under that. Seb flourishes under that, but there's just a very, very small sample size of drivers who, when you put extreme pressure on, will rise to the occasion.
Yep.
Where maybe Ocon at Alpine, he knows he's got a long period of time, so he can slowly build. Alex knows he's got a long period of time. Valtteri knows he's got a long period of time. Are we looking at a possibility for teams to really rethink the way they've gone it, because it's not about a sink and swim mentality? It's about let's grow together and let's find our way through, and
Yep, the wonderful Helmut Marko has got a lot to answer for. I mean, he is not creating a supportive environment for these young drivers that they are wanting to bring through. It's not like they're sort of plomping themselves and saying, "You've got to give me a chance. You've got to give me a chance." I'm sure that's happening, but they're the ones bringing them through. It's their program.
Yep.
So be more nurturing, be more supportive. Understand that maybe they're not ready for the big team, because that's my biggest criticism of them, is that they bring these drivers in too soon.
Yep.
And so make sure they're well rehearsed, well worked out drivers.
Yep.
Perez could have been driving for this team earlier, and they could have brought Albon in now.
Maybe
once he started hitting his straps. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But it is a fine resurgence from Albon and Williams, and it's a lovely story that is that's doing very well for the team.
Yep.
Logan Sargent, how's his season going? Finished in 13th.
Yeah.
He was looking like having a better result last week, and then he had I think it was a DNF, but it was. Is he doing enough? When Albon's doing what he is?
Maybe, yeah, he probably is, to be quite honest. I think if you look at it's his second season? First season?
It's his
second season. Second season.
Oh,
First season.
First season.
First season.
It's hard to remember these things. Yeah, it's first season, yeah.
Yeah, so first season. So as a first season driver, compare that to Oscar as well. Different sort of pedigree, I guess, when you're thinking about both of those. And very vastly different teams as well as the way they're operating under too. So I think he's doing a great job. He's got a teammate who has been part of a senior program, a top team, almost podium, almost race winner, and then has had to come back and find his way through sort of from the ashes for a better word. And so he's got a different teammate so he's doing a lot of great things, and I think he's probably just ticking the boxes, but his teammate is absolutely smashing it, and he's sort of the flavour of the month at the moment.
Yep.
And if you look at that in comparison to Oscar's season as well, Oscar's done a great job, but he has got better machinery and a better team behind him as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like Sargent was taking a little while to get into it.
Yep.
But, hey, so was Williams.
We've seen
Williams
glimpses.
was taking a little while to get into it. And, yeah, I agree. We're now seeing the glimpses. You want to start seeing a better showing between now and the end of the season.
Yep.
And then, being a rookie, they have to give him another season to go and show his worth next season. And then I think the second season's the one to watch for. You hear lots of driver developers say that you actually really need 3 seasons to see the best of the drivers, and I think we're starting to see that with Wayne Zhou. But it's one I would want to see some improvement. I think with DeFries we just weren't seeing the improvement at all.
That's it, yeah.
Whereas I want to start seeing a little bit of improvement there. So yeah, it's coming along, but you probably want to make sure it's continuing to come along, because it's a pretty high pressure environment. If you are putting your hand up to get into it, you got to get into it, don't you?
Would Latifi be doing a better job?
No,
probably not.
No, he may be slightly doing a better job, but nothing that's going to be. There's something in this.
No.
Lando Norris. Tell me about Lando Norris's race.
It's a little bit of a quieter one, I think. Like I wouldn't put it down as awful for a race.
Out-qualified by his teammate but very rarely does that happen. I think it might be 3 to something,
which is fine. It's going to happen on occasion as well.
Absolutely.
It wasn't an awful weekend. It was a pretty okay weekend, just sort of substandard. It's probably a Mclaren 6 weeks ago weekend, is the best way to describe it.
They were on track. They were on track for this result sort of midway through the race. He managed to make it happen.
Surprised at the lack of speed.
He managed to make this one happen in terms of he followed through of where we were expecting probably McLaren to sort of finish by about the early stages of the race.
Yep.
One thing, there was a few things, and I haven't actually read Adam Hughes' comments yet, but I'm sure they're going to ring true of mine. I didn't like McLaren's handling of the Norris-Piastri situation early in the race.
Yeah.
Piastri was in front.
Yeah.
He was being slowed by Alex Albon.
Yep.
And he wasn't able to get the job done.
Yep.
So they brought Norris in first. He got the undercut on Piastri. It didn't feel great.
Is this sort of what we need to expect from McLaren now, that they don't have a policy of the driver in front gets preference of pit stop? Because we've seen it a couple of times now.
So this is going to continue. So then Piastri is a bit frustrated.
Yeah.
And he's coming out, and he's realised that Norris has had the jump on him.
Yep.
He's aggressive into that first corner. Yep. They come together.
Yep.
Piastri should not have been put in that position to have to do that. But Piastri, as a Formula 1 driver, probably should have given the corner up slightly sooner, because the team did. Andrea Stella came down hard on him. Was Andrea out of line to be coming down hard on him in that situation?
No. 2 weeks ago, last week, we were applauding the fact that we had seen a really calm and measured Oscar, now happy, feeling confident, lively.
Yep.
I'm going to start getting my elbows out a bit here, and we like that. So I think we need to kind of stick with that. I thought it was okay. It was the first time that we had seen them truly racing each other. On the flip side, look at the celebration we had for Ferrari boys. Yep. Yeah, they nearly came together at the end, but we loved that pure racing. So I'm okay with it.
So Stella's out of line.
I think Stella's a little bit out of line, to be quite honest.
I tend to agree.
I really do.
Yeah, and for that exact reason, we want to see this driver develop. Yes, he was slightly at fault here, even though his team cooked him again. But even though his team cooked him, he was slightly out of line. It could have ended very badly. But instead of going to the media and coming out in the media saying that this is out of line, I'm not happy about this. It's a little tap on the shoulder. Hey, mate, just watch that one. That could have ended really badly, and that's what it needed. And whereas he came out a bit strong, he's going to have to be careful because he's got 2 really hot prospects.
Is this a knock-on effect from Lando and the way that he early in his career handled his communication with team and media? and that when Lando was quite hot-headed and super vocal and critical of a strategy or something like that, the team sort of went, ugh, don't say that. So we've had an incident in the past with a driver. We've got someone new. Let's get on the front foot and say no.
We're in charge here.
Yeah, we're in charge here. I feel like could be a bit of knock-on from
He's got to be a little bit careful though, Andreas Stella, because he's got two of the hottest prospects on the grid. Yes. I would say they're probably they've probably got the best two young drivers on the grid.
Yep.
Max is certainly very good, but Perez isn't sort of rated like these two are.
Yeah, no.
I don't know any other team that's got such highly rated drivers
at such a young age.
At such young ages. Yeah. And so he's in this really awkward situation where he's got to be like, Norris has been courted. There's the stories of him being courted by Red Bull.
Yep.
The stories of him being courted by others.
Yep.
He's got to be looking after Norris, but they've also got this really hot prospect that everyone wants to get their hands on, Oscar, because he is so young and he's got that future as well.
Yep.
If I was him, I'd just be a little bit careful.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't like the undercut, and then the Hamilton crashing into him. It was just a moment where it just was like, it's going to be one of those races, is it? And then Oscar that was done for Oscar, and it was a shame because he was looking at a better result than that. He was, I don't know if he was going to get back ahead of Lando Norris because it was looking a little bit tricky in terms of in that stream. But yeah, it's a shame, and thoughts on Hamilton into I didn't bring it up for him on his race, but is 5 seconds enough in that incident?
Yes, it is.
Even though it's ended Oscar's race pretty much.
Yes, because it is nothing more. The way that's sort of magnified is that we are towards the end of the race. So he runs out of time to get that back, right? So let's say that's lap 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's a racing incident. It's 5 seconds, and we're okay with that.
Even though that gets him past Oscar in an illegal way, which gives him the momentum to go on and take on the other drivers, and he drives through his 5 second penalty.
It was just nothing more than a racing incident. It really wasn't. We've learnt to accept that things like that happen. Like, a faster car will drive through a penalty. It really, really will. Unless it's got damage. It's the only way you're not driving through a penalty these days. So
therefore, is our penalty system right for the way our racing is at the moment? And that's, for me, this isn't necessarily a Hamilton issue, because I don't think Hamilton did it deliberately.
No, not at all.
And it would have been crazy to do it deliberately. It was a little bit forceful. He was expecting the younger driver, the rookie, to move aside and give him more space. I think he thought he was going to back out of it, and we've seen, like we've talked about, Oscar being a little bit more aggressive, which is fantastic.
Yep.
That was about as bad as it got for Hamilton.
Yep.
But I'm starting to wonder, is our 5 second penalty system just becoming a bit of a joke at the moment? We saw Hamilton drive through his 5 second penalty and gain places.
Yep.
We saw Alonso, did Alonso have a 5 second penalty?
Sainz, I think it was.
Sainz had a 5 second penalty. We saw Russell, have a 5 second penalty.
Yes. Yeah, I'm thinking
and they all drove through these penalties where they didn't penalise them in the end.
Yep.
And the fact that you can cut in front of someone in a corner, your 5 seconds doesn't mean anything. If you can get a particular track like this, if you can get ahead of the car that you can't get ahead of, you may as well go and do it earlier than go and drive down the road. I don't think the 5 second penalty system works in Formula 1 at the moment, particularly on a track like Monza.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it kind of does work. A couple of years ago, Red Bull Ring, where Lewis had 5 seconds and Lando kept within 5. So.
Yeah, but it doesn't work in this situation where... Monza's all about track position. If you've got a slightly faster car, you can make it lots faster, as long as you can get in front. But unless you can get in front... You can't, but it just sort of allowed them to cut some corners, get in front, and I think a smart driver in this situation would have picked that up earlier in the race and started and done it a little bit more to pick up that advantage. I think in this situation, a stop-go had to be the penalty.
Stop-go, gee, that's...
Or a drive-through. I don't mind a drive-through, but I think they need to start ramping these up because we're going to see this.
I think a drive-through is okay. I think a stop-go is way too harsh, especially for incidental stuff. If it's a deliberate or careless, fair enough.
Well, it was careless. Hamilton's was careless.
It was careless, yeah.
It was careless, and that's exactly what it was.
I think a drive-through is okay. I'd have to say no to a stop-go. I think that's far too much.
Yeah, well, I probably agree with you. I think the drive-through is where it needs to be.
Maybe.
And I want to see it applied. I still don't like this whole idea of you drive through it and then they cross the line and all of a sudden someone jumps ahead of somebody on the track. It's like a computer game.
Yeah.
I want to see the penalties applied. And so, look, if I think they need to start thinking about, right, let's up these penalties.
Yep.
And let's start making them actually pay for some of these things that they're doing. And so, yeah, I think that would have been it. I mean, Oscar lost probably plus 30 seconds in this situation, but that's not the part I'm grumpy about. I'm grumpy about the part that Hamilton got the position on track and then drove off into the distance, and it never affected him.
Yeah,
there was never an effect on Hamilton in the end.
Yeah, no, good point.
Anyway, anyone else you want to mention? Let's talk about Liam Lawson again. 11th position.
Yep.
He's doing well.
He's doing well.
How well is he doing?
He's doing all right. He's doing all right.
It's a little bit hard to say because we lost Yuki so early.
Hard to judge
in this
Yuki
weekend.
Didn't even start.
It didn't feel like Yuki was going to be doing too much better than this.
No.
It feels like he's found close to Yuki's performance relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So did Ricciardo.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yep.
Does this say more about Ricciardo and Lawson, or does it say more about Yuki Tsunoda?
I think it says more about Yuki, but not in a way where his performance is not great. I think it probably says more about the Alpha Tauri, in that the current upgrades, I probably look at it where Yuki has had a slower piece of machinery under him at the start of the year, and now he's got something a little bit better. So he is coming to terms with changing driving styles and the way that he approaches his weekend. Whereas Dan's come in off the back of driving nothing for 12 months and can just get in at go. Same with Liam.
Yep, coming off a bit more of a clean slate.
Yeah, it's fresh for them. So if that kind of makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
I don't think that would affect Yuki too much. To be honest, I don't think we can say it yet.
Yeah.
But a little question mark in the back of my head is saying, are we rating Yuki Tsunoda too highly at the moment? And if Ricciardo's come out and beaten him already, Lawson's not that far off where we think Yuki would have been this weekend. He wasn't that far off with last weekend. My question is Yuki Tsunoda actually going as well as everyone's saying he's going?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
I think he is.
I haven't been convinced on Yuki Tsunoda yet. I'm willing to be surprised by him.
Did you bring him into your fantasy team this week?
I think I did,
You did, yeah. I just wanted to remind you of that.
Yeah, crap. I'd forgotten about that. Anyone else you want to talk about?
No, that's it.
Lance Stroll is a long way off Alonso.
Should go and play tennis, shouldn't he?
Tennis seems like a very... I'd support him in the tennis circuit.
Oh, I wouldn't. We talked about this the other week, didn't I?
No, I think I would support him. I think I'd be like, yeah, look at him go. I want him to win.
Haas are pretty irrelevant at the moment, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Well, do you know it? Just tell me off the top of your head when they finished.
7th and 18th.
Yeah, that's because they got it in front of you.
Yep. 17th and 18th. It wasn't great.
They're just irrelevant, aren't
they? A little bit, yeah.
Just irrelevant.
I want to know if another team coming in
Yep.
would be more relevant than some of these other teams.
Of course they would.
I mean, we're also nursing a team like Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
Until they turn into Audi for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's okay. There's excitement around that.
Yeah, but like, why were you nursing a team through that's sort of achieving?
I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to nurse someone through, knowing that the end result is going to be spectacular.
All right. Before we get on to the race rankings,
yep.
Let's talk livery changes.
Oh, yeah.
Give me an out of 10 on the Ferrari livery change.
10.
10. 5 for me.
5.
It was just a bit meh for me.
I picked it last week, didn't I?
You did, yeah. Yeah, you absolutely did.
Like to the T.
I didn't like the look of it, and it didn't look cool. Like, in terms of, like, I like the idea of going for something different.
Wow.
And that's the only thing I had going for it. I thought they made the current Ferrari look worse.
Wow.
I thought made the current Ferrari look worse. And then, if you're going to change it, you're going to make it look really cool. I'd like a bit of yellow on there, but the black did not.
But the black's always there.
No, on the back wing. It just felt like the German flag. I just thought it was just, it was just... I would have loved to see an all red with some yellow on it, classic, just almost like when it was the red and the shell. That would have been perfect. No, it was disappointing. I didn't like it.
Oh, that's harsh.
Let's go to the Alfa Romeo.
That's harsh.
Out of 10,
6.
10.
No, it's
not 10. Because I can't have 10 because you can't improve. 9 for me.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love that. I love that that Italian flag on the back of it.
It was
the beautiful cherry red.
It was different, and I liked it, but I wasn't writing home about it.
Oh, I'm taking up the rest of the season.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, and I'm not alone on that one. That one was very popular.
Yeah, no, it was. I wonder...
You went down with it.
I wonder what Jay would say.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, it's his area, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
All right. All Signs 3, 2, and 1. That's awesome. Thanks to All Signs, AWE Signs. Get in contact with them for all your signage needs around the Melbourne area. Who's getting your votes this week?
Who's getting my votes this week? Good question.
Thank you. Will I start, will I?
Yeah.
It feels like you're not sure.
No, I am.
I'm going 3 points to Science.
Okay.
Science got driver of the day and they nailed it this time around.
Okay.
3 points to Science.
Yep.
Do you want to do your 3 or you want me to go through?
I'll give 3 to Max.
3 to Max.
10 on the bounce is an incredible achievement.
I did that for Max
shape,
a few weeks ago, so I'll allow this once for you to hand it to him for that reason.
Thanks.
I'm trying to find his point score. There he is, 3.
Yep.
And Science, where is... not great podcasting this when I can't find the drivers. Who's your 2 points going to?
2 to Science.
2 to Science, fair enough. I'm going to go 2 to Alex Albon.
Yep, fair.
Very, very nice racing.
Yep, good.
3? Sorry, 1?
1 to George.
Yeah, I'm having 1 for George.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
I like it.
Very
It.
good.
All right. Let's hear about your dud of the day.
Oh, dud of the day. Last week, we couldn't find one, could we? I was spoiled for choice this week, once again.
Oh, I'm interested.
And I'm wrapped, because I love duds. It's my favourite segment.
I'm interested.
Just a couple of honourable mentions, just to go with. And it goes to every single commentator who, when we had Lewis and Oscar come together, where we all had to remind ourselves that Oscar was a rookie, and we all forget that he's inexperienced, and we all forget that he should be a little bit more mindful of what he's doing. And I think probably our commentators probably need to realise that it actually wasn't Oscar's fault at all. Martin Brundle is the only one who nailed that incident and said, this is what's happened. Every other person went the other way and said, no, that's Oscar. Even the F1 feed, even the F1 channel feed, like, oh, you forget he's a rookie, don't you? Yeah, I know, but he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, the fact that he's a rookie doesn't come into it.
He was 100% not in the wrong.
Yeah. Martin had a good weekend.
Martin had a great weekend.
He had a really good weekend,
How
didn't he?
fantastic.
You said you didn't miss him last weekend.
I didn't.
Turns out you did.
I did miss
because you didn't realise it.
I know, and I think it was because we got that little bit of a different sort of grid walk where he spent the time with Mclaren.
Oh, I've got to admit, I haven't actually gone to see it yet. No. It is on my things to do because I am excited as to go and see it.
I know, I loaded it up straight to you guys and said, hey, get around this. Because it absolutely was great. And it was just, look, I knew watching it a little bit about it in the way, because we've been fortunate enough to be there and have a look at all the goings on behind the scenes in the paddock and whatnot. But I thought it was great to spend the time with the team, to have the team talk to him. To have mechanics sort of say, all right, this is what we're doing and this is what we're about to do and this is why we're going to do it, without giving away secrets and stuff like that. I thought it was fantastic insight. And then to have the headset and to pass the mic to Lando while he's being wheeled into grid position and have a chat to Lando in his car
I need to see this. Stop it.
You've got to watch it. He's so good.
It sounds so very good. Yeah.
He had the McLaren headset. Lando was in when they come in and do the sighter and then get prepped. Hands him a mic. He's being wheeled off and Lando's talking to him, helmet on. I thought it was awesome.
I tried to catch it.
Good.
I tried to catch it last night.
Yep.
And I started watching and then... my wife came in and she was talking to me about things. And I was like, I want to concentrate on this.
Yep.
You know how I just have to watch things without interruptions.
Yes, I need to talk to you.
And it just wasn't going to happen last night. So I was like, I'll get it done tonight. And then, we're recording. So it's on my to-do list. You need to do that.
And it's hard to watch because you'll need to watch the full hour pre-show because it's in spots, which is really great. So I thought that was really good. And the reason that was so exceptional is that a couple of weeks ago we went... and we had the little sort of fan engagement. Yep. And that was okay, but it was
different, but it wasn't
disjointed.
Yep.
And it was suddenly we're interviewing people who don't speak English. Mm-hmm. And this one seemed a lot more prepared and really thoughtful. And you know what? I liked it. I didn't miss not listening to a celebrity.
Yeah, no,
I didn't
I'm with
miss
you.
anything like
I'm with
that.
you.
I thought it was good. And
it still brought grid
Yes.
Like, it still brought us into the
It
excitement
did.
of the grid.
It brought grid without the
Yep.
stupidity
Yep.
of celebrities. I was talking and listening to people who I've never talked to or listened to before, and I had some insight from mechanic and
Yeah,
race
I'm
engineers,
interested.
and I
I'm
thought
really
that was
interested.
cool. So I love that. Anyway,
I
back
like
to the
it.
dud. Back to the dud. It 100% goes to Toto Wolff this week in every way, shape, and form.
That's generally a correct
If
answer.
I could give you last week's dud, this week's dud, and probably next week's dud, all of them to Toto, I would. If I can give him 9 points, I would. Because his comments throughout the race weekend in regards to Max and his 10, saying that there is no value in records such as that, and they're for nothing more than Wikipedia, were borderline some of the most arrogant comments that I have ever heard in F1 for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. When his driver takes 100 wins and 100 poles and lap records and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, to then turn to someone who's also achieved something incredible in the sport and say they're for nothing more than Wikipedia, it is pure blatant arrogance, and I hate everything about it.
They dined out on it when it was coming to them,
Yep.
and now they're acting like it doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I'm
that's
with you.
exactly right.
That's a good one.
Stuff like that's so important. There really is. There's stats galore. So, you know, my question to him would be, outside of a world title, what stats matter then?
Yep.
Because if it's only that, don't comment on what anything Mercedes have done other than the world titles.
Yep. My tummy,
Yep.
I've got my honourable mention goes to the trophy. Sort of grew on me. Sort of grew on me, but
No,
it was...
it didn't. No, it didn't.
It was a weird trophy, and I meant to go looking for why it looked like it looked.
I have that
and I know
for
that
you
that's
already.
that's you. Yeah.
I already have that for you. So continue with your dud, and then I'm going to tell you about the trophy.
All right, and so so that was just a bit weird, and so I was like, it's not quite a full dud because I actually really like the shiny trophies. I really like the shiny trophies. It had a bit of gold on it,
Yep.
so it was nearly there. It was a weird looking thing, and no one really explained to me why it looked so weird. It was sort of reminded me of like some parasites or worms coming up, and I was like, it just seems a bit strange. But I could be really off. It might be something really representative of Italy. I like the ones that represent the place that they are, or just really beautiful trophies.
Yep, cool.
And that wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't either of those things. My actual dud of the day, though, goes, why do we have medals going to the winner on the podium?
Is that because the trophy goes to the constructor and the factory, and that's a memento for the driver?
This is ridiculous. I'm not down with this. They give the constructor the trophy.
Yep.
Max gets his trophy, but now he's getting a medal. This isn't the Olympics.
Yep.
We don't need a medal. The others aren't getting a silver medal, and the others aren't getting a bronze medal.
Yep.
I don't understand what the medal's for. No one's explained why they brought it in, but we don't need it. I saw the two drivers having a conversation about why you're getting a medal. He's like, I don't know, but I'm getting one. So, yeah, no, a little bit more clarity around what the hell's going on here. Do you find what it means?
Yes, I know. I had it for you last week, as soon as I sent you the photo of it too.
Oh.
And you know who else is another honourable mention for dud? This is just a minor. This is
Am I
petty.
going to get it?
Just petty. No.
Oh.
It goes to Ted for referring to Monza as the Cathedral of Speed. It's not. It's a Temple of Speed.
Yeah.
It's just that's petty, but I hate it.
I think the Cathedral Speed actually works better for it being a Catholic space.
All right, so a little bit of background on the trophy, yeah? This trophy. All right, so its name is Typhoon.
Yes.
It has a name.
Yep.
So the trophy's name is Typhoon. It was created by an Italian artist named Ruth Baraha.
Yes, I
think
heard
I've
that
pronounced
part.
That right.
I heard that
Yep.
part.
And it's inspired by the following things. So it's inspired by the shape of a Formula One's exhaust pipes, which is surprisingly pretty accurate. Not the exit of the pipe, but the actual inner workings of the packaging of it.
Sometimes you
Underneath.
see them threading
Sometimes.
amongst each
Yep.
other. Yeah, okay.
As well as Greek mythology. So the name is derived from a mythological figure, a giant son of Gaia, I think I've pronounced that right, characterized by extraordinary strength and 100 snakes on its head. So it is a representation of Greek mythology and a Formula One exhaust pipe.
What a load of bullshit.
And I feel like it's just coincidence that
What
both of
a
them look like
load
that.
of bull.
That is legitimately it, and the trophy's name, it is known as Typhoon, is the trophy's name.
I'll take it back.
It's
The medals
all-
get the honourable mention.
It's all true.
The fact that I don't know why we're getting medals, we shouldn't be getting medals. This ain't the Olympics. The dud of the day goes to the trophy. What a load of baloney.
I knew you'd love it. As soon as I sent you the photo of the trophy, like, what is this? And your response was, what is that? You didn't even know what it was. And then I found that. I did a little bit of digging around. You know I love stuff like that. And I found, what does this one mean? So
F1.5.
F1.5.
Let's get on to something that makes some proper sense.
It is back, and there is no garbage excuses because I have my book. You know what I did as soon as I got home last week?
Tell me
Just
more.
went looking for it. You know where it was? Kitchen table. All right.
At least it was ready.
This is where we left off a fortnight ago, yeah? Mm-hmm. So we had the following. We had our 3 categories. So we've got F1.5, F1.75.
Yes.
And then we've got kind of what I'd like to describe as Formula A, Formula AT, Formula Alpha Tauri. Because all the Alpha Tauri drivers. Fun fact, Alpha Tauri have had more drivers than they have scored points.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2 points for Yuki, is that it?
Have they got no points?
Nah, I think Yuki's got some points.
I'm pretty sure they've got no points. Let me have a look here. Well, they've had 4 drivers, so...
Who's the 4?
Hey?
Who's the... Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot about...
Sorry,
No,
4 drivers.
Nick the Free.
There are 4 drivers. They've scored 3 points. Sorry, my apology.
Yeah, right.
More drivers.
I'd forgotten about Nick.
Yep. All right. So if you're looking at Formula Alpha Tauri, before Lawson come on, who was a new entry into the Formula Alpha Tauri, DeFries was on 35, Dan was on 12, doing nicely, looking at catching him. F1.75, we had Hulk leaving the way on 67, K-Mag 57, and Sargent on 44.
Yep.
And then looking at F1.5, Lando was leading with 179, Gasly 149, Ocon 147, Albon 120, and then so on and so on and so forth. I won't go through the rest. All right, here's where we are this week. All right, so where would you like to start?
Oh, from the bottom.
You're going to start from the bottom?
Yes.
All right. So Formula Alpha Tauri here looks like this. DeFries leading the way on 35. Lawson second.
Hang on, whoa. Mm-hmm. DeFries is leading.
35 still. Scored 35 before he got dumped. All right. Ooh. So 35. Lawson is second with 18 in 2 races. 18 points. 6 and a 12. And Dan is on 12 points.
Oh, so Yuki doesn't get in.
Yuki doesn't make it into
right.
No, this
sorry.
is just for the other
I'm
boys.
with you.
Yep.
I'm with you. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, it's been
sorry.
a fortnight.
Yep.
All right, let's go to F1.75, yeah?
Yep.
So Hulk leading the way, 75, had a good couple of weekends. K-Mag did a bit, but sort of was probably caught himself sort of scoring points and thought, oh, don't do that. So 2 and 1, so 57 to 60. And Sargent was probably the biggest mover there from 44 to 52, so not doing too bad there. All right, this is where it matters the most.
Here we go.
And I tell you what, you asked me a couple of weeks ago, do the Astons come in and the McLarens come out? And I said no. And I'm glad I did. Because it's a little bit closer than what you would expect. All right, so, bottom of the pile, Zhou, 105. Doing all right. Probably going to stay in F1.5. Too far ahead to go into F1.75. So Zhou's the cutoff there. So Zhou's on 105. Sonoda 111.
Yep.
So he's had a rough couple of weeks.
Yep.
Rough couple of weeks for Yuki. After that, it's a little bit of a bigger jump. You've got Valtteri on 126. You've got Oscar on 130, which is a bit of a surprise. So has done well, but has missed out on opportunity. Here is the big mover, Alex Albon, 160.
Whoa.
He's in 3rd place.
We talked about how far he can go.
He is in 3rd. Incredible. So he was about 20, 30 points off a podium 2 weeks ago. He is now in 3rd place. He is overtaking Ocon, who has dropped down to 4th with 158. Ocon in the last 2 weeks has scored 1 point. So that's huge. Gasly sits in 2nd on 178. Lando is ahead, but it is still like that margin of just on 30 points.
Yep.
And he's on 215. So that's close. That's tight running.
It's up for grabs.
It is
because
up for
it's
grabs.
not like any of one of those teams is just flying at the moment.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I was wondering whether Norris might get relegated, but that would kill it.
It would kill it.
Sorry, promoted.
Because right now you've got someone who is sort of streaking away but is catchable. And with the likes of Alex, from 120, he scored 40 points in 2 weeks. That's phenomenal. So anyway, that's F1.5 for this week and last week.
How wonderful.
Exciting times.
It is. It certainly is. Fantasy.
Oh.
You're a bit less interested in talking about fantasy.
I just really couldn't care less because I hate fantasy.
When did it all fall apart? Where was it again?
When I took the lead. Yeah, when I changed. And I do it all the time. This is why I don't do football tipping. Do you do football tipping?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't. I don't tip. I don't bet on anything because I'm so caught up in I think about it. And I think, all right, make a smart, in inverted air quotes, smart decision on what you're going to do. And I do that. And I don't go with my gut feeling. And then when I go and do stupid things like what would be a logical decision, I just balls it up.
I just want to remind you, though, that everyone else made changes too.
Yeah, I know, but
our current leader has made some changes.
I
It's not like he just stayed with the formula that was working.
Yeah, I know. I should have done that.
Well, you should have, but you wouldn't have been where you need to be. A leader went to Max. He's with Piastri, Perez, Alonso, and Hulkenberg.
Yep.
I think he changed the Stroll to...
Might have been the Stroll to Piastri.
But he's also then got McLaren and Red Bull, so... Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really care. Anyway, all right. Top 5 look like this. WW Jolie MPD, 4,238. It's still pretty close at the top.
Yep.
It's just
9 points.
It's just I'm not interested.
9 points.
Yeah. Second is Party in the Back, 4,229. Tails I Win has popped up in third, 4,222. It Protects My Head, 4,186. And Cooking with Hass, one of my favourite team names, 4,178. So that's what that looks like. I am sitting in a miserable 16th position.
That is miserable.
Not even remotely...
Went backwards.
Not even remotely looking like breaking into the top 10.
Yep.
So that's my season done.
Yep.
Made some changes, all of which have fallen apart in every way, shape and form. Yuki had a great weekend, brought Yuki in. What did he do? Didn't start.
Negative 20.
Minus 20.
Yes.
Brought McLaren in. How did they go this weekend? Probably their worst weekend for 4 weeks. 44 points. Fernando came in, highest scoring person all last week, 60 points. Come on back in, Fernando, 5 points. So just can't really catch a break. So I had 210. Max 76, Yuki minus 20. And I took Perez out, who scored 20. This is a 40-point swing. Anyway, whatever.
No, you're not dirty.
No, I'm not at all. And you know what else frustrates me more than anything? Not the fact that I led for 3 weeks. Is it the fact that although you're where are you?
24th.
You're down in 24th, you're only...
I'm in striking distance.
You're literally
What was your overall score this week?
I don't know. I don't even care. You're literally You're literally 15 points off me. I led for 3 weeks. How are you 15 points off me?
Well, I scored quite
You had
okay.
a shocking year. You've had a shocking year. In every sense of the word, you've had a horrible year.
Turns out probably I'm going to be better than you. You scored 210 points this week.
Know.
I picked up 50 points last week.
I know.
You scored 210. I was 238. So
that's another.
In terms of my shocking year,
60-point swing.
It's not as bad as your year.
I led for 3 weeks.
Yeah, what's the point?
You weren't even reminded.
What's the point?
I know.
So what?
I told my lovely other half on Monday morning, I was like, oh. She's like, what? What's wrong? I'm like, I'm 16th in fantasy. And when she just goes, you suck at things like that. Yes, thanks. And then,
nothing like a bit of direct feedback.
It's just those honest, right between the eyes. And then her follow-up comment is, I don't know why you bother doing this every year. And I'm sort of thinking, thanks for your moral support.
No, you need a bit of direct feedback.
How about something like, it's all right.
You
led for 3 weeks. You can get back there.
No.
Just turn to me. You suck. Maybe I'll ask my son next time.
Yeah.
He'll probably tell me the same thing, and he'll be like, sucked up.
How far off are you? You're only 150 points off the lead.
Yeah, it's not. Got what? I need about 6 DNFs to get me there. Anyway, thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto, we are getting to the pointy end of the season. Chris will be dishing out fantastic prizes to
Guess
top
what?
3. What's that?
I ordered my Chris
Oh,
Sprint.
did you really?
I did.
How exciting.
Yeah.
And what did you order?
I ordered the Ricardo Redemption print where he's standing on the front of the car.
Nice choice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I love it. It's the Red Bull, it's not my favourite of the helmets and stuff, but the helmet's not in the focus here.
Yep, sure.
I'm going to go and get myself some
Okay.
more in time, but
Awesome.
I just want to get the area set up. And
I was going to
it's
say,
gonna
for the
go
new
on
studio.
It's going to go on a similar frame, and it's going to be...
That's awesome.
I'm very excited.
Have you asked for does Chris know it's your order?
I think so.
He'll be listening this week, so he'll know it is.
I think so. I'll put in a note that I'm looking forward to speaking with him.
I
soon,
hope he
so.
does something special for it too. Anyway, thanks to Chris. It is getting to, as I said, pointy end of the season. Top 3 are going to score some amazing prizes. And if you are, I guess, it's going to be Christmas soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
3 months going to be Christmas. If you've got that F1 person in your life that loves unique and different things, head over to Instagram, Facebook, Redbubble, all that kind of stuff. Check out Chris's wonderful artwork, past, present, new, popular, unpopular. Lance Stroll, you name them, he does them, all that kind of great stuff too. And helmets too, if you're a racer, if you're a motorcyclist, if you're a go-karter, if you're just looking for something to jazz up, check out his helmets too, they look good.
I love them.
Commissions as well.
I love them.
Anyway, thanks Chris, incredible support for our podcast once again for another year, and thanks to everyone who is participating in fantasy. It's been a great year so far. I'm sort of saying it like it's the last round, isn't it? It pretty much is. That's me.
Feels like Tristan's not going to announce it next
feels
week.
like I've got to the end of the season.
Any major news you want to talk about?
Yes, while we have been recording in the studio, not only has my coffee gone literally ice cold.
It's cold in here.
He's literally ice.
A heater needs
He's
to be added
literally
to the
ice
list.
cold. I actually feel like threw it
Yeah.
in the freezer about half an hour. It is not.
I'm sipping on a wine.
I
And
want to drink
feels
it.
like when you go camping and you have a glass of wine and it's really cold, and it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
But it feels like I'm camping or drinking a wine in this cold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's ridiculous. All 10 teams have passed the cost cap scrutineering, for a better word. So certificates have been awarded. Everyone has passed.
There was rumours that there was some
Yep.
teams in some trouble.
Absolutely. No, everyone has passed. Yep.
Oh, good to know.
All done. Good to know.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
well, that's almost a relief,
Yep.
isn't it? I'm sure some of them are feeling more relieved. Nothing else major.
In terms of news-wise, to be quite honest, no, there really isn't. Dan's injury looks to have set him back a little bit further. We're expecting him to come back at Singapore.
Hoping for Singapore.
Christian Horner's comment saying that no, it's generally not going to be happening, and probably aiming for Qatar. So I don't know how that sort of impacts him and what he's doing as well. I probably convincing myself it's not going to impact him, but a little bit of part of me is starting to think it might.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't think it is going to impact him.
No.
It doesn't do him great things.
Yep.
If Lawson's doing well
Okay, yeah. Yep.
for a long period of time.
Yep.
But to be honest with you, I honestly think it's doing less for Yuki Tsunoda than what it is Dan.
Maybe.
I think if
Maybe.
yeah, but we haven't been able to see. Yuki
No.
Yuki might have come out and absolutely smashed it on the weekend.
Could have.
Or at the very least been well ahead of his
Yep.
teammate in a couple of positions. So,
Carlos Sainz was also robbed outside of his Milan hotel hours after his podium finish, which is not the first time a driver has been robbed. I think Leclerc was and Norris was too. So his Richard Mille watch worth close to $500,000 US, £235,000.
Wow.
Was sort of taken. 3 people had been sort of waiting outside the hotel from what I read. But, however, he and his personal trainer and some bystanders actually set off after them. He was able to catch them and stop them and retrieve his watch too. So
this is
absolutely. So yeah, so he's got it back. Where I think in the case of Charles and Lando, they didn't get it back.
No, okay.
I think Lando's was quite aggressive too when he was at that soccer match and that happened. So so he sort of sent a bit of a message out on socials thanks to the bystanders that sort of jumped in and intervened and helped him too. So I tell you what, if you're going to mug a Formula One driver, you'd want to be fit, wouldn't you?
yeah.
Like, because they'll run you down.
Yeah.
Like, you would want to be real fit. So, anyway.
Once they get to you, are they going to
Yep.
be doing much? They're only little, they're
Not really.
light, but no, I'm with you.
I think we'll see drivers sort of reconsidering wearing that kind of stuff out and around. Not that they should, because they certainly earn it and deserve it, but, some of those...
But in saying that, though, they're probably not paying for it either.
Well, that's true.
They're all sponsorship
some
deals,
of
aren't
those
they?
watches are worth a lot of money. In fact, who does a little bit of a segment that I've seen? There's a clip on YouTube. Can't remember for the life of me who does it. I feel like DC does it. And it was when we were at Miami, and he was asking drivers and just like paddock personnel about their watches. And Christian Horner's was really interesting to see at the end, where he said, "This is actually my watch from, I think it was Seb's fourth world title, and it was gifted to him by Rolex. And it's one of one. It's just his. It was just Rolex.
Cool.
They made it specifically for him. I can't remember if it was Seb's fourth or it was Red Bull's first.
Yeah,
but it was
cool.
gifted to him. And there are a lot of really cool drivers up and down the paddock who have really, really interesting watches. Jackie Stewart had one as well, which was from his first world title that was given to him. Still wearing it, which would be just an incredibly valuable memento.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think. So yeah, it's a cool thing. Jump on YouTube and have a look at that too. So yeah, that was the sort of news.
We're in a really nice vein of races at the moment.
We've
gone from Spa off to Zandvoort, which,
yep.
I mean, previously I wasn't the hugest fan of this, but
No,
I saw a really
please.
fantastic race, so I'm starting to turn around on it.
Yep.
We've just been to Monza, about to go to Singapore, and then Suzuka. What a nice little lineup.
And you
of
know
races.
what? We don't have to get up at stupid o'clock to watch that,
Yeah,
because when we
10
go to 10 o'clock,
10 o'clock
for
start, I'll
Singapore,
take it.
4 o'clock for Japan.
Oh.
How good. You can watch it before tea.
Here we go.
Except the downside, your family will be around. They'll have to talk to you. So
Well, thoughts on maybe we should be sitting up in the shed, pretending that they don't exist. Yeah, no, fantastic.
Absolutely.
So, it's a nice little time in our
Awesome
lives
time.
watching these
and
races.
I tell you what, if you live overseas and you feel the urge over the next
Go on.
fortnight
Send Tristan
to
a message.
get on social media
Send him a
and
message.
have a sook about the time that you have to get on up to watch it, just stop yourself for a moment and then pull your head in.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Send Tristan a
No,
message, because it brings me
Don't.
joy
It
watching him get
frustrates
grumpy
the hell
about
out
this.
of me. Like, oh my God, I had to get up one weekend at maybe like 11. Shut up.
I love it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Catch yourself and think, no, I'm going to be a better person.
Tristan at beyondtheracingline.com.
Don't.
You send him an email,
Don't
personal
at me.
email.
Don't at me.
Or you'll find him on other
Don't
things.
at me.
Send us a message
Don't
to the
do
group.
it.
I'll
Just
send
be-
it to him.
no,
I'll make
be a
sure he
better
receives
person.
it.
Be a better person.
Who's going to win?
Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Max. Max is going to win.
He's pretty good at doing that.
He is pretty good. I feel like something unusual, because there's a street circuit, that maybe Checo is going to be a little bit closer than what he was, and maybe could pull a surprise in terms of possibly nabbing pole, maybe. Maybe. I'll tell you who's not going to go well, and it's the Mercedes, because my theory of the Merc in the heat, and it's going to be muggy, and it's going to be hot when you go to Singapore, so I expect the Mercs to have a really, really poor weekend. Really poor weekend. And I don't think the Ferrari's going to go well either, because we'll run the hards. We'll run the hards there. So, yeah. Low dig.
I'm going to go with someone other than Max winning this weekend.
Really? You think this is it?
No, I don't really.
You
But
think
I'm
this is
hoping,
it? You're
I'm
kinda
hoping for
hoping.
something
Nah,
different.
it's not gonna
it's
come
not going to
close
happen.
to that.
No,
Not
Max is
at
going to
all.
have a good win.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to win it by
I think
5
Checo's
seconds.
going to really put it to him, though. It's going to be there. We're going to see a little bit of a fight between the two of them. But, Max is going to run it right with that, too. Oh, yeah, I think the Mercs Mercs are going to struggle, I think. Just the hot. They don't work in the heat.
Looking forward to it. I'm
Yeah, me
really
too.
looking
Love
forward to it.
Singapore.
Is it
Love
the new
Singapore.
track layout for this year? Because
yeah, I think it is.
I think that there was talk of them changing the grandstand on the water.
Yes.
Because there was some building works going on, so they're going to change it for a year or two.
Yep.
But I haven't heard if it's starting this year, so yeah, that'll be something
Yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye out for, to see if they've made some changes there. But
Yep.
no, it's fantastic. One of my colleagues is off to watch it with his son, the lucky man.
how
I tell
good,
you, I
how
reckon
good.
next year might be my year.
I
There
love
we go.
Singapore.
Yep. But yeah, until then, there will be a fan frenzy coming out later in the week, so keep your ears tuned for that. And yeah, enjoy your racing until then. Goodbye now.